Welcome to the Creative and Code podcast.
Welcome to the internet, my friend.
Brought to you by ID Digital Agency.
Kind of a big deal.
Dive into the dynamic world of digital marketing, creative design, and coding with top experts, latest trends, and actionable insights. Let's get inspired and innovate together.
It's showtime.
All right, g'day everyone. Welcome to Creative and Code. I'm Jay Boston, Strategy Director at ID Digital.
I'm Emily. I am the Digital Marketing Manager at ID Digital.
How's it all going? Yeah, in today's podcast this is brand new for us, isn't it?
First podcast ever.
Yeah.
Have you been on a podcast episode before?
I have, yeah, back in the day when I was doing electric skateboard reviews.
Yeah.
I was doing a whole bunch of podcasts back then, and that's probably a good segue because this is going to be going on the YouTube channel that I used to have for that, and that's been translated into the Creative and Code podcast now.
Do you think it's going to be the same audience?
Well, I don't know. We'll see how they go. They'll see that it's
We'll
me,
see.
and they'll probably go, "Oh, what's he up to
what's he
now?"
up to?
It's been a couple of years.
Yep.
So this
There
is
we go.
it. So for those that do know who I am, hi. This is ID. We are part of ID Digital Agency, and you've been with us for 18 months.
18 months. Oh my God. I was like talking to some clients the other day and they were like, oh, we only met you when you'd started like a month in, and now it's like 18 months in.
Yeah.
And where's the time gone?
Yeah.
I don't get it. Mind
Yeah.
you've been running this for, 23 years? So where is that time gone?
You're actually right. Yeah, 23 years it's been going. Yeah, and things have changed. Podcasts are the thing to do these days, so we're putting one together.
Yeah.
I think, really what we want to do with this is our audience is really other agencies. It's those that want to get into the creative industry. It's our existing clients and potential clients that just want to know a little bit more about what we do and, to stay ahead of the curve. Curve. Yep, we'll get that. Yep.
I think it's just cool insights into some people that maybe you might not get to hear from. Having conversation with like our guest today.
That's right,
Her
Sally
first ever
Hastings.
podcast.
Yeah.
And no one's ever heard about her, all these great insights of like her agency life.
It's a weird thing, isn't it? Like, she's put so much work into Adland and ads and
I've
creative.
got like so far up in these agencies.
Yeah, but the problem is, like, unless you're in the industry, you won't know who these people are.
Exactly.
It's a bit sad.
That's why we're here, bringing those people to the people.
That's right. The people behind the things that you love and enjoy about advertising. So I think that's going to be cool. And advertising these days, it can include websites and branding and advertising, TVCs, banner ads, AI. So
everything.
That's what we're going to do. So make sure if you haven't to subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform that you're using or listening to. And let's get into it. First segment that we have is basically what has happened since we did the last podcast. So since this is the first podcast,
Just have a quick recap of the last 23 years.
Yeah, so today's the 5th of July, 2024. If we go back a couple of weeks, end of financial year's happened. It's a whole new financial year, which is exciting. New budgets are out with clients. We're figuring out how we can spend it and what they want to spend it on and to make sure they get a good ROI. How are you finding clients are reacting to the current landscape?
It's busy. People, I feel like, haven't confirmed their ad budgets yet. I haven't had any like budget changes across any campaigns yet. So I'd expect that maybe in the next couple of weeks that, it's like, oh yeah, surprise, all of our ads now have like 20% less spend. And then next month they're like, but why are my ads like performing 20% worse? And it's like, well, the spend went down.
Yeah, and then they're like, double it then. And you're like, oh, okay.
You're like, so obviously there was wiggle room. They just wanted to see, So it is a kind of a weird time. And I think, people are starting to like review all their goals and there's work coming through, but then like the existing clients want like more analytics on the previous year. So it's like chaotic.
And you find too, like the creative stuff is very creative, but there's such a big technical back end to it now.
Oh yeah.
Measurement reporting and analytics and making sure that we understand the user journey and where's the abandonment of that journey and how do we get them back. And
I feel like people think
crazy.
that like, I mean, it's the case for me, obviously, like I'm a marketing team of one, so I do it all myself, but like a lot of times at bigger agencies and stuff, you'll have someone who just does like the data and like they don't ever touch anything to even do with the ads. They just look at the stats. And it's crazy that can be your entire job. It's just like looking at how an ad is performing.
I remember when I went to school, you had a multimedia degree, and that had
That's crazy.
everything in it. And now everything is so...
It's probably 100 different degrees now.
Yeah, it's all sectionized. Like you can do UI only, you can do code only, you can be an engineer. It's all very split out now, so which is a good thing. I think it just shows that the industry is massive.
Well, exactly.
And you really need to be specialised at things, and that's where we hire specialised people like Emily.
Yeah, I mean the problem with that is that because everything's changing so fast. Like what I did at uni, I graduated 5 years ago, and like half of the stuff I learned isn't even relevant anymore.
No,
because it's like
here.
the industry's changed so much in 5 years that it's like great. Just
Yeah, I remember I was doing claymation, stop photography.
I love doing
and
that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's good because then you can go, oh yeah, I'm interested in this, or no,
yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
interested in it.
But it's the kind of thing you're like, when you get into your career, you're like, great, there's so many things here that I could have like learned with all that hex debt. But
Yeah, totally.
Anyway.
And we launched our own website about a month ago, 6 weeks ago. So go check it out, iddigital.com.au. We spent a lot of time on that. There's really good case studies.
Mammoth effort.
Yeah, lots of search optimization. We're checking out SEMrush as well and making sure our authority score is climbing. And if you don't know what that is, subscribe. We'll tell you about that in upcoming podcasts as well.
How many websites has the agency had over the years?
How many have we built?
No, like how many
for
websites for
ourselves.
us we've had?
I think we're at 15 or 16
That's
in 22
crazy.
years or so. Because like AI is pretty much the buzzword at the moment, the last couple of years. And all the systems and platforms that we use, our website is on HubSpot. That's got AI built into it. And you've got to just keep innovating. You've got to keep changing because like I've seen other agencies that don't update their site or don't do it frequently. And
and you can really tell that they're like a couple of years behind when you look at it. And you're like, why would I get you to build my website if your website's bad?
Right on. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we've been prepping for this podcast. I hope you like it. We've got some cool segment animations and audio and that kind of thing. So we're just having a bit of fun doing this at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's good. We're doing some interesting stuff at the moment in terms of the work for our clients with road assessors, event hire companies in Australia, and one in Dubai as well, which is quite cool. Some banking stuff, some apps for fuel discount cards. What are you working on at the moment?
Bit of aged care.
Yeah.
Is coming through. Yeah, fuel. There's a lot of fuel discounts that have kicked in with the new financial year. I've done a lot of stuff for that recently. Yeah,
you've done a bit of creative stuff, haven't you? Yeah.
Yeah, modular home builder. That's one of my kind of newer clients, and that's a really interesting project. I feel like some of the other clients, it's stuff you know about, but with modular home building, it's just a complete world that I have no idea about. So it's
Same
kind
with
of
the road assessors. Like, who would have thought there's technology out there to assess pavement and the density of the pavement. And it's just amazing the kind of stuff that you come through with working in an agency.
Exactly, the amount of like random knowledge you would have from all the clients you've had over the years, just having it all committed to memory. Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
Wild.
But so that's what's been happening. Let's get into the news.
Good news, everyone.
Uh-oh, I don't like the sound of that. This is the way.
So in this episode, we wanted to kind of touch a little bit on some of the key trendy things that are going on at the moment within the work that we're doing. One of them is AI in web development. And if you are a web developer, if you're coding the back or you're doing integrations, there's a range of different software like Copilot that's massive at the moment. It's from Microsoft. And it does allow, like when you're coding, it kind of can predict what you're trying to code and will give you suggestions on how to finish that code, as well as if you're writing a particular rule or if statement or whatever it may be. I'm not a coder. I'm not trying to sound like I am either. But it has the smarts these days to make your code productivity that much more speedy.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. Like, do all the devs use it now?
Yeah, so I think all our devs are now on Copilot. Some have been on it for a couple of years. Some of them are just trying it and getting used to it as well.
So when you think about like 6 devs and the amount of time they would all save and when like adds up to over time.
It's nuts.
Oh
I mean, if you use Gmail or some of the major email clients out there, you start writing an email, you can see in grey, it gives you some ideas of how to, those suggestions to finish it. It's the same thing in code now.
Yeah.
But then, ChatGPT and a bunch of other models as well, you can type into it, I'm looking to create a digital clock. It needs to count down from,
Oh yeah, and it
2
gives you the
hours of-
code, doesn't it?
out comes the code, and
crazy.
and that's a really good starting point. You'll hear with our guest as well that with most of the AI stuff that's out there, and I tend to agree. I don't know about you, but you might, that it's a starting point. It's not your end point.
Yeah, I think that's kind of how you have to use it in this industry. Like if you let it be the end point, you're basically just letting it take over your
Yeah.
job. You need to like build upon it to give yourself some value.
Yeah,
in
you
the
don't want to just be a
industry.
prompt monkey for the rest of your life. You want to take
exactly.
it and make it yours.
And I feel
think
like
it's
if
really
you
important.
do kind of like take what it gives you, you kind of start to feel a bit shit. Like, great, I'm just like, I feel like a computer if I'm just producing all these really generic.
Yeah, we've got to try and keep our
things.
humanity about us.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you are a developer or you've got a team and you're not using Copilot yet, go check it out. It's quite interesting. Wanted to talk a little bit about PWAs or progressive web apps. These days you can pretty much have an app that you can install off a website that runs almost identical to an app that you would normally get out of an app store. So you can do push notifications. You can have it installed on the app and have, I think it's up to about 50 kilobytes of data that gets stored locally on the app as well. So loadings or logins and things like that you can have there too. The way to know if it is a progressive web app, it's just a website. If you go to, for instance, Facebook on Google Chrome or Instagram, you'll notice at the top right-hand side of your address bar a little download icon. It's not where your downloads are, but there's a download icon. You press that, you click install, and it creates a version of that either on your Apple or your MacBook, basically, or on your iPhone, which is pretty cool. And I think it also works on the Android software too. So an example, if you are one of our clients, we've done a progressive web app for them. If you go to unitedpetroleum.com.au and you click on to go to their service station locator, that service station locator is a progressive web app. You press the little download icon, it'll install it as a bit of software onto your computer or as an app onto your iPhone. So I might show Emily.
Can you send push notifications through that?
You can set it up, and you need to use something like Airship, which is a push notification sender, to set that up. It's pretty cool.
Like when you think about the marketing potential of that for not much more effort, like you don't have to build a whole app and you can send people like push notifications.
Yeah.
There's so much potential for what could be done with that.
Yeah, so we noticed that a lot of people just want to find the nearest service station. So when you go to this link, so servicestations.unitedpetroleum.com.au, you'll notice up the top, up here, I'm just showing Emily, you can see that little icon. You press on that and you hit install, and you'll see it's now created a little bit of software for you.
That's awesome.
And if you close that down, you'll find that it's likely,
it's there
in the
as
Chrome apps. You can drag it in and you can check out the nearest
go.
location near you. Progressive web apps seem to be something that a lot of companies are going for, simply because then you don't have to have an Apple developer account or a Google Play developer account. And you don't have to push app updates to the App Store. It'll just go through it's like an inner browser app. It's pretty cool.
How does that affect like the development time of it?
Good question. It radically improves it. Obviously, you don't then have to have something like React Native that will compile it into the different App Store requirements. You can just do it in a web-based HTML structure, which is really cool.
Crazy.
Have you had much to do with voice search optimization?
We do bits and pieces here and there. I feel like it's a big one with like SEO on search through more than anything. Like I feel like a lot of people aren't really using it on social media just yet. Potentially maybe in the future, but I think it's a big one for, when you've got your little Alexa or Google Home or whatever. People are just asking it questions. You want it to appear in those little drop-down search question bars. And just it's the kind of thing you've always been taught to avoid. Like, I don't want to have like a run-on sentence with like, having this perfect answer that it was there before, but you have to optimize it to how someone would say it.
Yeah, so I think it's one cool way to do that is in SEMrush. If you use that, that's search engine result pages have a whole range of different things that you can optimize your site on your website for, optimize the content on your website. And one of them is these knowledge topics that you can do.
Yes, that's what they're called. Yeah. I feel like it's almost counterintuitive because it's like, almost against what you would want to have on your website.
Yeah, it's almost like you're feeding the engine, you're not feeding the customer's
yeah,
requirements.
exactly.
Yeah.
But it's at the end of the day, it's so important, and I think because it's had such a rise on things like Google, I think TikTok will be a big one, and that'll be, it's already kind of starting, but it'll start to get absolutely massive on that, and
I think the more and more, like you're right, the Google Home devices and Alexa, and now I know, the iPhone and all that are getting more into voice search. I use it a lot too with ChatGPT, that their sources of information, if your content can be that, and they're asking specific things for us, where's the best website designer, or how do I find the best branding agency? You want your content to be the one that is consumed.
It is, it's rapidly changing though. I know Google now with their kind of AI results, like it's kind of taking a little bit away from the organic content in the SEO, but it'd be interesting to see where it goes and kind of, how that'll impact what we put on websites.
Totes my goats. All right, let's meet our guest.
You have my curiosity. Now you have my attention.
Nice to have you here. Isn't this weird?
I know, it is
Because we're
weird.
cousins. It's a bit strange to be saying all the questions that I kind of know about you already.
We can pretend for the purposes of today that we've never met.
Yeah, exactly.
Hi Jay. Nice to meet you.
Bring this a little bit more close. Yeah, nice to meet you, Sal.
Yes.
We used to, it's funny, like our upbringing with good old granddad and grandma,
Yeah.
we only really saw each other during Christmas times, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe a few times a year if we were lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was good because when we got together, there was so much to talk about at the same time.
Yeah.
And then, like, in the last 10, 15 years, we touch base and you're like, you still doing websites? Yep. You still doing the, agency land? You're like, yep. But then recently that changed too.
It did. Yeah, it did.
So let's go back anyway.
Yeah.
I want to find out about that incredible journey that you've been on so far. And it all kind of started at Glen Waverley Secondary College, didn't it?
I did go to Glen Waverley Secondary College, yes. It was an interesting place to be.
Yeah? What
Yeah.
was it like back in the day?
I don't know. My high school years weren't really good years, I don't think.
No?
I think I didn't really like school very much.
Did school like you? Were you in the in crowd?
No.
No?
No. I was in the misfits crowd, I would say. Yeah,
Same.
we had all sorts in that.
What about you,
group.
Ellie? Were you in the Misfits? Or?
I mean, we were like art geeks.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like, it wasn't a great crowd. I mean, they're still my friends to this day, so clearly it worked out. But,
Yeah.
I feel like that, it feeds through. I feel like it makes you a better artist to have like a bad past.
Yeah.
If you're like really cool in high school, you can't be like a good artist.
Yeah, you can't get deep.
I think that's not how it works.
You've got to get the pain and suffering in there somewhere.
Yeah, that's what's
Yeah,
important.
but I did really like doing art at school, and I did art and graphic design.
It's back when we were at school, because you're 2 days older than me. 1 day.
2 days. I'm December 6.
I'm December 8.
Yeah.
And then my wife is December 7.
Yes.
So kind of weird.
Oh.
But we were just getting into Macs, MacBook, not MacBooks even. It was like, what were they back then? They were big screens and they had 3D stuff on them, but it wasn't all that good. Had Photoshop.
Yeah, were
That
they
was
big
there.
towers? What were they? The G8 towers or something?
God, we're going back now.
But I remember the Photoshop that we had at high school, the big thing was that now you're allowed to have layers. So
Yeah, it was massive.
I think the first ever Photoshop I had, you couldn't have layers, and whatever you did, that was what happened. You
I
couldn't
remember you try
undo
and
it.
save, and it would like do that little Apple.
The wheel of death, I think they call it.
Please say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, things have obviously moved on a lot since then, but good grounding years in terms of creativity, I would say, and not so much in... And look, school wasn't awful, it just wasn't my favourite time. I think my favourite time in life began after school.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And that's when you left there, and it seemed like, was it your first job at Badger as well, where you went
Oh,
up?
wow. That was my first job that I'd like to put on my CV.
Okay.
What was your crappy
Well, hang on. Yeah,
job?
you're like,
What was like the
Wow.
first?
did you do work
Yeah.
experience at school?
There must have been like a bad one.
Work experience, I decided to do the easy way out and contacted my primary school and went and taught art.
Oh,
So
and
you've been
not-
arty from day dot,
Yeah.
basically.
Always,
get
but
it.
I didn't do that because I wanted to be an art teacher. I did that because I didn't really want to be reaching out to businesses.
yeah, that's fair.
And it was a fun time, helping the
worked.
kids paper
Yeah.
mache and stuff. It was good. the work experience thing was not fruitful for me at all. But did you do something fun for your work experience?
In year 10, I went to a special needs school. So it wasn't artistic or anything. I was just, I'm like, throw myself in the deep end, see what it's like to look after those kids that need a bit of help.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything, to do with my career or anything at all, but it was good fun.
Yeah.
I saw some interesting things, saw some bad things as well, like some of the way in which teachers and things look after kids, but didn't report anything at the time.
No.
Are you allowed to do that as a kid? Like they put you in a high school, like a school with other kids like that?
Well, it was just special needs kids with like different types of disabilities and things, but it was almost as if like where it was. This was Glen Allen School. I don't know if I should mention it, but
We'll beep that bit out.
Yeah, maybe. But it was some of the ways like that I saw them like feeding the kids and like the graphics and like they loved art, which was really cool. I remember them, music, and they're all very artistic. But it wasn't anything that I from a work experience point of view that I took elsewhere.
But even things that consciously you don't take elsewhere, they are within you and you do take them. Like, kind of strange that every part of my life has kind of somehow manifested in like, I'm going to jump forward a bit here, but when I became an advertising creative, you'd constantly be mining insights and like things we can all relate to, and like we'd be throwing around ideas in a room and someone would say, oh, that time I got that parking ticket and I spoke to that really rude parking inspector, well, I told him to boop, F off, and I did this hand gesture, and so everyone knows about the hand gesture, right? I go, the hand gesture, and then suddenly you've got an ad about a hand gesture.
Yeah.
And so, everything, whether it be good or bad, does feed into your creativity. I'm sure even something subconscious in your time with those special needs kids has somehow found its way into your creativity.
VMCH, they have like a disability section. Maybe there's some
there could be a little bit of my history in there for sure. Yes, one of our clients.
Oh, there you go. Just some insights to clients' needs and businesses.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
being on the other
funny,
side.
like even recently, we've been doing a logo for a fostering care organisation, and we've been trying to come up with ideas. One of them was a dandelion.
Oh yeah.
Because when you're young, like it comes out, it's very quick to grow, and its pollen goes everywhere and grows other things, and it's inspiring. And who would have thought like a weed basically could be the brand of a big organisation? So it's weird. Like, and that took me back to when I used to grow them. Grow them. Used to
blow them,
grab them, blow them, and then make a wish. And and that's that part of the dandelion experience too. So it's weird. Like wherever your upbringing is, I think, has a big influence on how and what you think about creative too. Like, have you seen that in some of the early stages of what you did?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And actually, I'll keep jumping around here a bit, but my art practice now that I'm doing art full time is very much tapping into exactly what you're talking about. Like, I remember holding dandelions as a kid. That's cool. And so you kind of delve into that, and that kind of, helps bring up new memories. And I think nostalgia is a really powerful tool.
Totally.
Yeah.
And there's so much in it. And do you have reoccurring dreams every so often too? Like, can you remember?
The only reoccurring dreams, I'm going to sound like a negative Nancy here. I feel like I've done this to you twice. But the only recurring dreams I've ever had have been nightmares.
Same.
Yeah.
Mine's like running through Egypt, being chased by Egyptian police.
Wow.
Hiding behind some kind of spice bucket.
Yeah.
And then, I'm safe, and then they grab me and I wake up.
Wow.
And I have it all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
That can't be good.
No. It could be another
I think what it means is don't go to Egypt.
At
least for the foreseeable future. Maybe just hold on that one until you're a bit older.
Yeah, not great.
Is that what sorry, you go.
Is that what inspires you, like that kind of nostalgia when you think about the kind of art you create? Is it like just thinking memory like that, and then you kind of piece together the bits? So I'm just thinking about like your frog in a pond kind of artist. Like, I really like that one. Like, is it just thinking about that, and then you kind of picture a scene in your head, and then you just paint it?
Yeah, kinda. It all started, when you want to become an artist or you want to be creative, and this works for photography or music or art or anything. Is people say you've got to find your voice and you've got to find what makes you unique. Mm-hmm. So when I quit my advertising job and I started painting full time, I was painting every day. I'm like, I'm going to find my voice. I'm going to find my voice. I'm going to find what it is I'm supposed to be doing. And I just painted into it. And eventually I painted this picture of Steve Irwin holding a killer python gummy lolly instead of an actual snake. And it went a bit crazy online, and I thought, oh, maybe I've tapped into something. And then I thought about all the lollies and like ice creams and chocolates and things that I love. I'm like, well, I could actually picture these like they're real in real life. And that's kind of the little seed, the little nugget that everything now has spilled out of. And so, yeah, frog in a pond was one of my favourite desserts as a kid. So I'm like, well, what if the frog was in a real pond?
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit radioactive looking, but what if he was real? And then so that now has just fed into my art massively, and that's what I imagine. I imagine that these characters are real, and what would their little backstories be, and where would they live, and what would they be doing, and
It's probably a good way, like if you're listening, go and have a look at Sally Hastings art.com.au.
Yeah.
And go check it out, because even, like, we're jumping all over the shop, but when I went to the gallery opening at Revolver, which is an awesome space, by the way, just having a look at a gummy, there is so, like, it's transparent.
Yeah.
So for you having to draw that and have to think what's underneath it, it's all painted.
Yeah.
That's got to be pretty mind-numbing to...
It is really hard, but I think the harder the thing that it is to paint, the more, what's the word, meditative it is. I'm not in the business of painting lace or anything super meticulous, but like trying to get light shining through something, trying to get that effect in paint is really exciting. And every time I manage to do it, I'm like, oh, I did it.
'Cause did you buy some of these gummies and then you like studied like if the
I have a
wood is-
whole studio full of lollies, basically. Yeah, and I study them and I take reference photos of them under certain light and certain angles and
You would
stuff.
have to, yeah. Or like even the Buffalo Bill that you use as well. And when you take a photo, you've got that kind of lens glare off his nose as well. So I'm guessing you look at that kind of stuff too. And
Yeah, I mean, it's all where your light source is coming from. It's all fun stuff that when I was in advertising, I worked on Photoshop a lot because we would come up with campaigns for people and we would be like, right, your key visual for this campaign is, you know, a happy person sitting in a thing holding a blah. And you could never find an image with the happy person sitting in the thing holding a blah. So quite often you'd comp things together. And actually that's what I do in my practice. I'll like comp together things so that I know what the layout is, and then actually the way it looks and where the lighting's coming is all kind of made up or, you know, reference that I found. It's not necessarily, because you can't ever get everything cohesive lighting and whatever, you know.
No, exactly. And that's where, like, I was just listening to you and what you've been saying about the fine tuning. It reminded me of Grandma and how she used to do that cross stitching or whatever it was, you know, the thread work.
Yes.
So I think, there must be an artistic thing going on.
I think there definitely is.
We're in a similar field, and then Grandma, and on my side, my papa was an artist and he did all the painting. So yeah, I think there's a bit of blood going through there.
I think it always is in families. Like, my family's kind of the same. There's no one in, like, science, doctors. Like, there's either, like, a doctor family or an art family. I feel like you've got one of the two. Yeah.
My sister's in creative marketing as well. And, like, it's just, I think it's just part of the genes.
Yeah, for
so.
sure. I mean,
Really.
there's a joke in my family that my dad is a chemical salesman and my mum's an accountant. And they're like, we don't know where you got this from, but I
Your
think
brothers aren't that artistic either.
No,
are they?
not at all.
Okay.
Although one of my brothers is very good with mechanics. And so I would say that he's incredibly creative, but just in a very mechanical, engineering kind of way. But yeah, I think it's Grandma. Grandma's the thread. The literal thread, because she liked to thread. She was an amazing with needlework. I'll give you that. She wasn't she?
Yeah.
Every Christmas we'd get, we had Barbies and we'd get a new dress for the Barbie that she'd made, like handmade beautiful gowns. Like, do you think Beyonce's got good gowns? She's got nothing on Grandma's gowns.
She made all the blinds in her houses, all the curtains.
Yeah.
That? Like, so, it's
That's
just
classic.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, nice.
Nice. So let's go back a little bit. So you're at Badger for a while, and then you went and had a big stint overseas at Hasbro.
Yes.
What happened there?
So I had a few overseas stints. The first overseas stint I had was when I went to London in early 2000s. So I, at that time, was working at Badger and I was working on the Officeworks business. Yep. So pretty retail focused. And as a creative, that can be quite challenging because it's not like you're doing a big Super Bowl ad. You're doing a back to school catalogue, or you're trying to work out how to sell tax time things. You know, printers $49 kind of stuff. So trying to find the creative juices to go back again and again is quite tough. And a lot of clients' businesses are like that. They're hardworking businesses. They need return.
Especially if they've got such a strict style guide or like creative visual interpretation, like it can be really challenging.
Yeah.
You're just like, can we break this a little bit? Can we try some extra things? And they're like, no.
So I was constantly coming up with, we should break it this way, we should break it that way.
Yeah,
and I was getting little slaps on the wrist, but a lot of the time they were very happy to have that kind of input, which is great, very open-minded.
great, yeah.
But after a while, I kind of felt a bit stunted. So I thought, you know what I'll do? Instead of getting another job, I'll just move to another country.
So you had no commitment for a job, you just went to the UK? Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
so I went to the UK and funnily enough, I was trying to find work in similar field in advertising, but within the retail space. And I just couldn't get anything. But, I was looking for a little while, not that long. And something came up instead where it was an in-house creative role for Hasbro in the UK. And they did global creative design, and especially for all their games, toys, and all that
there's
stuff.
a range of like sub-brands in there.
Yeah, so I did a SpongeBob Monopoly.
Really
I
awesome.
did
That's
a
awesome.
Game of Life. It was one of the first ones that had a credit card as part of it. I did a Spider-Man Operation. Operation where you
Yes,
get the
yep.
tennis elbow and whatever. We had a
buzzes at
Spider-Man
you.
version of that, and a bunch of other games. And it was the best job. It was so
So
fun.
did you come up with the concept, execution, and then someone would make it?
No, so it's the world of games and toys is an interesting one. Basically, there's engineers, like games engineers, who basically, and there's games designers. They work together to like come up with what the idea of the game is. Like, we're going to do a Monopoly game, and it's going to be roll the dice 4 times and blah blah blah. There's a copywriter team who will write the rules. The engineers will work out what the individual pieces are that move across the board, and my team would be designing the packs, designing all the cards, making it look the way that it is, getting illustrators on board,
That's crazy,
photographing
yeah.
kids playing the game on the back of the pack,
Packaging, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
so, and it was great because throughout the process of every game, you actually went to game plays. So on a Wednesday, you, me, 5 of us in a room, we'd play the game at whatever stage it was, we'd keep notes and we'd all go off and work on our individual parts and come back and back and back, and you'd do that multiple times, and then
you
the
give it
game...
to the target audience and you'd see how they...
Yeah, they'd
how
have
work
play days, and they'd bring in the local kids from the school, and they'd observe them and see how well they did. And
Wow.
I really loved my time in games and toys. I think
So it
that
wasn't
was
like Big? Remember the movie Big with Tom Hanks?
when he designs that giant skyscraper.
Yeah.
No,
Like, when he
actually,
gets
it
paid
was
to play
someone
with toys.
else did that, and he said, "Why would anyone want to play with a giant skyscraper?"
Yeah.
Like a really cool thing. I feel like when you're designing a lot of packaging, people don't keep packaging, but like board games, people keep the boxes forever.
decades.
So that's like such a cool thing. Like it's a piece of art almost that you're actually like
You can
putting
go back and
together.
see what kind of like fashion was in at the time. And, there's mum in her like
it's so
dress
cool.
cooking at the background. You're
Yeah.
like, what? Like, it's just different.
That's awesome.
It was an
Back in the
awesome job. So I did that for a year and a half, almost 2 years. And then at that stage at the UK, Australians could go over there for their working holiday visa for only 2 years, I think. I think now it might be 3, but back then it was 2. So I had to kind of pack up, and I got a lot of
came back
marriage
for your-
offers.
You came back for your 21st birthday.
Yeah.
Is that when you did the Where's Sally invitation? Or was that your 18th?
Don't recall, but I did used to like doing cool invitations.
Yeah, because I saw you did some stuff for Monopoly. And I don't know if you did anything for Where's Wally, but you had your birthday invitation that was Where's Sally. Do you remember?
Thank you for reminding me. Memory unlocked.
I remember some stupid weird things. You had yours at the Mount View Hotel. The Start Park.
Yes, I did have it at the Mount View Hotel.
Mount
that
View
was my
underneath.
21st.
Yeah. It's always
I
a
like how you have this like committed to memory. Like
Yeah.
you're ready to go.
family are involved. We've got to remember these things.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So that was my
that's so
first stint
funny.
overseas. And then after that, I came back, and funnily enough, getting back into the Australian market, I was thinking, maybe I could do toys and games. There's a few toy companies here, but nothing as big. And I never really found an opening at the time, so I ended up getting back into advertising,
At Ogilvy, yeah.
back into retail.
So that was Maya and BMW and Mini and all those things, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I did BMW, Mini. I did time on Maya, Hair House, Warehouse.
Yeah.
Officeworks again.
Oh, you went back? So they were
yeah.
at Badger, then they moved to Ogilvy, and somehow you
Well,
reconnected?
in the time that I'd been overseas, Badger had merged with Ogilvy.
Gotcha.
And so I went back to a different team, but the same kind of people. But at that time, it was a different company. So there's a lot of new faces, which was good.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
And that was on St Kilda Road, I think, on that corner, wasn't it, Ogilvy?
Yes.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
had a few in there.
Yeah.
Sweet. And then, next stint was off to the States. after
Yeah,
that.
so I was lucky enough there's a real distinct lack of female representatives in higher roles in advertising. So anything from creative director up really tends to be quite male heavy. And so as part of that, Cannes Lions, which is one of the big advertising awards over in France, I think they're actually a British award though. But anyway, they have a thing called See It, Be It.
Okay.
It's basically trying to get women who are close to becoming creative directors, get them exposure to cool ideas, amazing people up the top, all that sort
That's
of
cool.
stuff for an intensive week. So I got nominated to go on that, and that opened up a lot of doors. So after I went on that week and met some amazing friends we are still in contact today, and we're almost like our own little cheerleading club, which is amazing.
So cool.
Through that, I was able to get some international interest. And so from then we moved to San Francisco, me and my partner, my copywriter partner.
Copywriter.
What?
I thought you said copyrighted. I was like, you've got
Copywriter partner.
Sally Hastings. Yeah.
So yeah, while I was having my advertising career, it was basically me, Sally Hastings, art director, and Scott, my creative partner, who was a copywriter. So, and we'd work in teams. They would give a brief to us and we would work on it together from ideas perspective. And then as the idea goes further down through the funnel and you get closer to producing the idea, Scott would be in charge of, the script and the copy in the ad, and I would be in charge of how it looks and the mood board and working closely with the director and the cinematographer on how we frame things up and all that sort of stuff. So
Dream team.
yeah, we
that's
were a
crazy.
very good team together. We worked together for a little over 10 years, which was a nice
That's a big
friendship
stage.
to have. Yeah.
And that's in the States. Whereabouts in the States were you? San Fran, wasn't it?
We're in San Francisco, yeah.
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 And Jono came and visited you?
He
too?
did.
Yeah?
Yeah. So where I was living, our cousin is a beautifully out gay man and we just love him. And where we were living in San Francisco was right next to the Castro, which is the epicenter of camp.
Yeah.
So we had a lovely coffee out there and I think
In
they
his
had
element.
some
Okay.
I think they had some nice times when they were there. So that was really good.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering, so you've been a senior art director, an associate creative director.
Yeah.
What are the differences between these types of roles? Is it just the role that is given to you by that agency, or is it there's obviously defined?
I would say that there's pretty defined duties within those roles. You start out as an art director, like that's the lowest of the low as a visual creative. And art director sounds so amazing.
does.
You go,
It does.
wow, you're an art director.
Yeah,
It's like coming out saying I'm a CEO, but it's actually the lowest of the low.
crazy.
So no, a junior role, you could be called a junior art director, but you can just come in as an art director. So I was an art director for many years and then a senior art director for even longer than that. And then after senior art director, associate creative director is the next rung up, basically. What it basically means is you're a trainee creative director. So the creative director will be, usually the one who has the final say, who will be client facing, An associate creative director absolutely is that, but just a rung below creative director. But as an ACD, you would be managing a team. So I would have creatives under me that we would work with together on to help shape their work, and they would show me stuff before we show it to the creative director. So it's just a junior boss.
And then what's the one above that then?
So you would go from associate creative director to a creative director, and then there's loads of rungs above that too. Like in big agencies, like some of the US agencies that we were working with and for have huge headcount. They would be creative director, group creative director, executive creative director, and then above that, chief creative officer. And after that, you're in the C-suite. So
Holy moly.
yeah.
Goodness me.
But I never really wanted to climb. I think that you can be
You
a
wanted the creative
climber.
part of it.
Yeah. You can be a climber, but the further you climb, the further away from the work you get.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
And I've never really enjoyed that. The part of it that I love, the job that I love, is the work and being creative and working with the team and the meetings and stuff I didn't love as much.
I noticed, like, with some of the agencies too, a lot of the managers or middle management, they love to have their own little spaces, whereas, like, with me, I like to be as part, like, in and around all that creativeness as well. You can hear things and give ideas, and I don't know, like, that's the way we're set up here, is everyone's pretty much on the same level, and you hear what's going on.
Yeah.
And you're like, I've got an idea for that, or I've got a suggestion or whatever. It just works. It works
Yeah.
really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's really good. I think one thing that I learnt when COVID struck was that I was so scared. When it struck, I was scared about numerous things. I'm going to lose my job, all that sort of stuff. But the one thing I was scared about was, like, people are going to realise I'm really shit. And when you're not in a room, you can't charm people. Like, you're submitting the work and the work is yours. And I thought, oh no, this is the moment. They're going to tap on my shoulder and everyone's going to realise that I can't do this job. And it turns out I can do this job.
That would have been self-satisfying too, just to go, I don't have to, like,
I'm not useless after all.
Yeah.
No, but I was worried about being on my own and working on my own. But what I learned through COVID was I actually can do stuff on my own. It's always good to bounce. Really great to bounce stuff off people, but I am confident that I can do stuff on my own. And that was a good gift from COVID. I know there weren't many, but that was a gift of, like, maybe I can work solo, but I also can obviously work in a team too.
So were you back before COVID? Were you back from
No, it struck while we were over there.
Right.
So, we all went full remote, I think March 13 or something. And then I never really stepped foot in the office again.
Wow.
Yeah.
You didn't have the Dan Andrews effect then from here. We were the most locked down place in the world, I think. But then, was it that bad over there during that time?
In California, it's kind of a different beast. So they are pretty compliant with stuff like lockdowns, whereas, in the Midwest and the flyover states were like, if you wear a mask, you're the devil kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, we flew back in the end of 2020, so we spent most of the year there, and I think we landed back in Melbourne in December of 2020.
And you got married over there?
We got married before we went over there, so 2015.
That was a pretty amazing, unique experience, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, we got married at Burning Man. I don't know if anyone knows Burning Man, but
everyone does. Like, it's Joshua Tree and all that's near there, isn't it?
Kind of.
On the way.
Yeah,
maybe?
sort of.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't been. So I'm just guessing.
But Burning Man is set in this amazing place. It's this desert, salt flat desert.
Festival thing. Yeah.
And it was pretty incredible. Originally I was going to wear this dress and blah blah blah. And while we were traveling, I found this vintage Star Wars Empire Strikes Back bedsheet.
No way.
And I thought, you know what? This is going to make a great wedding toga. So I actually got married in a Star Wars. Vintage Star Wars.
Was it one of the particular characters, or was it just?
Yeah, it's got them all. It's like a light blue color, and it's got you've got R2D2 and C3PO on there, and you've got like a Darth Vader, and it's a great bed sheet.
So you wrapped it around you?
Yeah, like a toga. If you've ever seen, if you ever seen like a Roman toga look, it was like that, except imagine a
I feel like it would
vintage Star Wars bed sheet.
Fit in with like the Burning Man vibe, like the toga.
Yeah, it was a better
When it was
choice.
happening, they came over and embraced it. And,
I mean, there's lots of weddings there. You see it quite a lot, so the novelty does wear off. But it was great. We had our little neighbours that were camping next to us that came, and it was a really good day.
Real.
I had champagne. Someone made steak. It was great.
Bloody hot, was it, out there? It wasn't too bad.
It's hot during the day, very cold at night, like a desert.
How long were you out there for?
Goes for about a week. So
Full on.
Yeah.
Just backtrack a bit. When you talk about over COVID, where you kind of learned to work by yourself for the first time, did that kind of inform your career change? Is that like proving to yourself that you could actually exist outside of it? Yeah.
I think a little bit of that, absolutely. The thing that really informed it was COVID, but just in a different way. We were all stuck. We all had nothing to do. We're all watching movies together and watch parties and whatever else we were doing and putting filters over our Zoom pictures. And, I was a potato quite a lot. I had spare time and I thought I used to love painting. Maybe I should order some art supplies.
Yeah, cool.
Oh wait, so painting is like a more recent development for you?
I've painted ever since school,
Yeah.
but I had honestly a 15-year gap.
That's crazy.
Or longer.
Like
Yeah.
with the quality of your work, I feel like it's something you'd think you've been building up for that for like so long. But then, yeah, it's crazy to think that you just like picked it back up and then we're like,
Yeah.
this is it.
I think that if COVID hadn't have happened, I don't know if I'd be an artist now.
Interesting.
I think the great pause or the great reset, or I shouldn't say that because that's going to make people think that I'm a sovereign state person. But the space that you have when the world goes to shit makes you question everything, and it made me go, do I really want this career? Because I was pouring everything into my career, everything, like every heart and soul, every fibre of my being was going into that, and I thought, what if I like took that energy and put it into something else? And that idea percolated over 2-3 years before I did anything about it. But the feeling was there, like, is this right? Is this what we're supposed to be doing? Am I supposed to be behind this computer all day? Don't know.
I was the same. Like when COVID hit, I was the only one that was going to work. We had an exemption because one of our clients was, what was it? What it used to be called, where you had the ability to go into work. There was some kind of
Yeah.
Like essential work, something.
Yeah, essential something. But anyway, so I'd go into work. No one was there. It's completely quiet. Everyone else is working at home. And I was looking, like, there was dead streets. I'm like, this can't be good. Like, I've never seen this before. And I'm like, I reckon I'm going to put myself into like an architectural kind of phase.
Yeah.
And I designed a house that I thought I would get a block of land somewhere we are, and we'd move out to the middle of nowhere. If this COVID thing's going to hang around forever.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to set myself up and have an office space and have the kids in like a kid's wing, and then the like, pool, and set it up so you can just live off the land as well. And so it's amazing. Like, you triggered to go creative. I triggered to try and be more, I don't know, emergency evacuation of where I was. And what about you? Did you try anything else, Emily?
Yeah, I did a lot of baking. I think I almost like baked myself out. I just did so much baking, which that sounds weird when I say it. Maybe like I did so much cooking and baking, and then like one time I just like randomly made an entire like Indian feast of all this food.
Just for you?
Yeah, I like made the naan bread. Like
Yum.
my
That's
family.
amazing.
Like I did this
Next
whole
time
thing.
you do that, I'm coming over.
This is the
too.
thing, right? I did so much over COVID, and then I don't think I've cooked for about a year. Like I just stopped. I was like, I've done it now. I just reorganized the pantry a bunch. Just like really boring.
It's weird.
I don't think that's boring at all.
But I think it really brings out what you're passionate about too. Like when you've got nothing to do, what do you do?
Well, exactly. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a weird time. I mean, did it also make you realise, like I read on your website that you said you were kind of jaded from advertising. Like when you are kind of sitting in your mindset like that and you're like, do I really like this career? Does it make you kind of realise how jaded you actually are? Like, is that what kind of made that realisation come to a head?
Yeah, definitely. Like what ended up happening is I got the art supplies. I stared at them for months, didn't do anything. And then one day I was like, right, I need to take the pressure off here and paint something once a day, and it just has to be something you find in the house, and only spend an hour on it and don't show anybody. So I thought, oh, great. So I painted some really bad bananas. I painted some really bad shoes. I could show you. I've got pictures of them somewhere. I painted just a bunch, and I thought, I don't have to show anybody until I start feeling good about it. And about 10 paintings in, I'm like, oh, I might show my husband this. This is pretty cool. And then it just,
And what do you say?
grew.
You're like, damn.
Damn.
Yeah.
But what ended up happening is I started painting Bubble O Bills because I just love him. And so I started painting some Western scenes. And what I'd find happening is my office was in the same place I was painting. And so I'd be sitting there on a call and I'd be listening to some inane meeting, or someone would be giving me feedback that I didn't agree with or something, which happens. But I was like, ugh. And I would just constantly stop looking at the screen and my eyes would sort of dart across to the canvas that was waiting there. And I'd think, I'd rather be doing that than this.
Yeah.
And that feeling happened for months and months and months.
Was this when you were still working at Deloitte that you were doing this?
That's when I was working at Deloitte. Yeah. So we when we came back after COVID, we were working remotely for Venables Bell and Partners, which was the agency we're working for in San Francisco. And we were doing that. I was working remote on Pacific hours for almost 2 years. So I was starting at 4 a.m. every day.
Wow.
So
it
much
was
worse.
really bad. I think it was bad for my health, my mental health, my physical health. everything. Like, it was a good job. The people I worked with are absolute legends. We did some great, fantastic work. Worked on Frito-Lay and, like, did some amazing Reebok, worked with Cardi B, did some
so cool.
great stuff, like work I'm proud of,
Yeah.
that I'm still proud of, even though I'm not doing advertising anymore. But those hours were just deadly. And so,
I
yeah.
guess you would finish, midday or something then? 2
Yeah,
o'clock?
sometimes, but then if we're on a pitch, I'm working till 6 or 7 p.m.
Right.
anyway.
Because you're just so used to working those hours, and everyone else is.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So they would love it. They would brief me on something at the end of their day, and it would be all done by the time they got up in the morning, because I'd just be there like a crazy person. But what I found was that once that had kind of calmed down, after 2 years of doing that, I thought, you know what, for my own health, I need to get out of this.
Was there like a moment where you remember, just like you just went, nah?
The final piece of client feedback, you were like, no, this is it. Like,
I had wanted to
make
get
the
out
logo
for a
bigger.
while. The money was quite good, so I didn't really think that was smart to get out if I didn't have something lined up. But my creative partner rage quit. He, in the middle of a meeting, rage quit, and I thought, ooh, not
do I do it
great.
too?
yeah.
But then I think he sort of hung up the phone.
Or like an Ari Gold moment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Lloyd.
Yeah, and you were Lloyd, and you're like, no, I'll stay
Well,
on
we
Lloyd."
were on a group call with people at work, and he kind of hung up, and then everyone said, wait, did Scott just quit? And I'm like, I think so.
Oh my gosh.
And then I
You
thought...
should have gone, because Ben creative, he's got out of here.
And then I thought, I
No,
think
it's
I
bad.
should too. But and then I just thought about it. I had to wait for my husband to wake up, because this all happened at like 8 in the morning.
Yeah.
And I just asked him if it was okay, and he was like, yeah. So I wrote my email saying thank you.
Wow.
But, yeah.
So you double dose for that.
Yeah, I mean,
that
we're partners in crime, you know, where he goes, I go. So after that, we actually got a job with Deloitte in Melbourne. A couple months later, we started in January of last year. And that was great, really good team, really smart work. It's just, it could have been the best job in the world, and I wouldn't have been interested. Like,
Your head was in a different space.
I think when I signed on to the job, I was so hopeful that it would be different and I would feel different, I'd feel energized. And I kind of was for a bit, but after a while, I was crying before work. Like, that's how much
the mental impact of it was just...
Yeah, and the job was great. I kept telling them, because like I had to ring my boss
it's
at the
not you, it's
time.
me.
Yeah, I actually said those words, and I'm like, "This is so not you. This is a great job. I love you guys, but I have to do this art thing."
Yeah, my mind's somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And so then I did, and so I've been doing the art thing for a year this week.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Goodness,
Nice.
anniversary.
Yeah.
And then that also means the salary stops and all that stuff.
Look,
the Sully salary.
The only thing I miss about advertising is the paycheck.
It's a big one.
I mean, absolutely. Is it?
Absolutely.
I
eh?
mean, I know. I just feel like going from like those massive agencies, like you say, there's so many, like, the kind of clients you get, of course the money's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
To go from that to like owning your own business, what was that shift like?
I basically went from drinking $30 bottles of wine to drinking $11 bottles of wine. So if that's
So no more pepper jack for you.
no more pepper jack, although it was on sale at Costco the other day for $13.50,
Not bad.
which is a good price.
Well,
Head to
nice.
Costco, everyone. Not sponsored. Basically I just thought I've just got to tighten the belt. So I had a lot of savings. They reckon that you should never quit your job and do an ad career unless you've got like 6 months or a year's worth
an
of
emergency
savings.
fund,
So I thought, well, I can do it now. I don't have to sell a painting for 6 months or even a year, and I'll be okay. So we're a year in, and I have sold paintings. So,
So you're already ahead of
Self-supporting.
we're ahead of where I thought I would be, which is like amazing.
Nice.
But yeah, building a business, especially around art, is a tricky one because, you know, the artisticness and voice in you has to be compatible with like selling paintings.
Yeah.
Not that I'm like this big salesy person. I don't think I approach it that way at all. But, you know, you do have to sell. But it's good. I seem to have found a good mix of I'm painting stuff I love, and I don't feel like I'm compromising at all, and I'm managing to sell.
I'd be always nervous too, like, you know, you're painting all these Buffalo Bills and in carriages and all that kind of stuff, and I would be thinking, are people actually going to want to spend money on my art? And is it going to suit someone's house and all that kind of stuff? Whereas, and I would be thinking that, but the way that I saw you and how you were doing what you were doing at that expo was, hey, if someone wants it on their wall, they're going to buy it.
Yeah.
And everyone's got different walls at home. Some are brown, some are green, and it mixes in. So
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
How do you like define your success? Like just thinking in terms of the rung of being like, I'm a creative director, I'm this, I'm that, and this, and then to go from that to be like, an artist? Like, how do you figure out what level you're at? Like, or is it just...
I reckon I'm right at the bottom of the barrel. I am below the bottom of the barrel, but I actually quite like that. I've got a little bit of, and I think Jay's the same, there's something in me that just wants to strive and try.
Absolutely,
and I think
Give it a
that
crack.
being at the bottom of something is really good. That's a great opportunity.
And no one's got an
That's so
expectation.
No one.
No.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want.
Yep.
And, because sometimes with artists, especially like Bromley, for instance, he's now pigeonholed into a particular style. And people like that. Whereas you could go, yeah, I've done Buffalo Bills and I've done Steve Irwin. Why don't I go and, I don't know, something else completely out of your mind and you could go on a whole different trajectory.
Yeah, and the good thing is I can do that anyway, even if people have pigeonholed me. Because the good thing about, and what I love about being an artist as opposed to being an advertising creative is like, the clients were always the ones that had the final say. Rightly so, it's their money, right? Yeah. Whereas now I have the say. Yeah. And if I want to paint it, I'll paint it. And if I don't want to paint it, I won't paint it. And I think that autonomy is great.
And would you be up for a commission-based?
I do commissions,
Yeah.
And so far they've gone really well, and I've only been painting stuff I want to paint. So,
but the clients are back, aren't they?
Yeah.
Someone's telling you what to do.
Yeah, but the reason why they hire an artist, and actually this is a good lesson for agency client relationships too. The reason why you hire an artist or you hire an ad agency or you hire a particularly creative is because you like the work that they do and you trust them. Yeah. And if you don't like the work that they do and you don't trust them, then you shouldn't be hiring them. Yeah, so I came across a few clients in my time that didn't really want to push good work through and kind of it was easier to just not do anything. And I get it. Everyone's trying to protect their butts.
It's interesting you say that because, we get a lot of referral, and before they even check out the work that we've done on our website or our showcase or whatever, they've gone, yep, we heard about you, this is what we want.
Great.
And then you start doing it for them, yep, cool, and it's within your style or within the way that you do things, and they're like, no, this isn't what we want. And you're like, what are we going to do here? And you end up kind of bending and all that for them and get there eventually, but there's a particular, I guess every agency has got their own way of doing
like a
things.
House style, I guess you could say. Yeah.
And I guess it's hard. Again, it's hard to show. Hey, we can do this when you've done only this. As well. Like getting into more the ChatGPT and all that. Yeah. Artificial design. Have you done any of that stuff lately? Or?
You know what? Like AI is an existential crisis, I think, in a lot of ways. But it can be a handy tool if you need someone to write your, referral letter or whatever. So
or a parking fine, get out of that.
Precisely. So I have actually used AI in my practice. Not a lot, but like there's an example that I have where I'm trying to find a reference image for something and it just doesn't exist. So I wanted to show Buffalo Bill playing cards with a few people around a table, and I wanted a really dark room and a really moody table, and I was reference image searching and I was like taking my own reference photos and nothing was quite right. And I thought, you know what? I jumped on Midjourney and I typed in gangsters playing poker and it came up, and dark room, whatever, and it came up and all I used in it was the table and where the light's coming from and literally the light fitting of the room.
It's not the end result, it's the inspiration.
No. And I didn't use anything else, but I used that as a base, and then I'll show you the AI image and I'll show you the painting that came out of it, and you go, they're completely different. But so I think that AI, when used in the right way, can be a good tool. Where it's leading and what it means for us, business, creativity, everything else going forward, I don't know. But it helped with that one painting. So thanks, AI.
Even Apple AI, they've called it. And then you've got Sora. If you've seen all that, you can do videos based on prompts. It's coming out soon, and,
there has been a bit of a backlash I've seen though. Like online, I think now everyone was like, oh my God, this is so cool. I can create these amazing images. And I think now there's a bit of a backlash where people are really favouring handmade, people are favouring crafting, people are favouring that connection that you can't get from an AI something. And so the videos.
I think a lot of social media apps and stuff, they're starting to go backwards because people just want that interaction. They want to go places and do things with people, not just being told what to do on a social platform. So But AI is interesting. I think there's some clients that really want to favour it because they love the idea of the automation. They want to be able to pump out a lot of content. And I go, that's great, and I'm sure it works for some folks, but to me, it's like people can smell a bot and they can smell a fake and a bot or a bot?
A bot. And they can smell inauthenticity like nothing else. And I think that, authentic connection and human-made crafty things will hopefully be always
100%.
on there.
It has its purpose, but it shouldn't be for every purpose.
Yeah.
Especially not in creative. I think it can get you, like you said, to a place that you like to be inspiring or part of a brainstorming exercise or whatever, because it'll go, ooh.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't. I don't think I've ever had a prompt or a response that I've used completely.
Yeah.
I think that's like where it divides like people who are creative using it and people who aren't creative. Because the people who think like this is brilliant, it can do everything for us, they're not creatives. They don't understand like how you can use it to build.
Yeah.
But like when you're creative and you get it, you know that that's not what you want and you know how to build upon it. And yeah, I think it's an interesting like divider, especially on the internet when you hear people talk about it. It's like, I can tell you've never photoshopped anything and you just like think this is the best thing ever, and it's it's not the be all end all.
No.
Even all the prompts that you can do in Photoshop now, have you done a lot of that? Where
A little
you
bit.
highlight it and you like put some flowers in this section or something, and it gives you 3 options.
They're usually
bad.
pretty bad.
Yeah.
I use it for stuff like extending a sky.
Yeah,
like
those
if I
ones are
have
good.
an image of
basic.
something and I want it to be a square painting and I need to fill in the bit.
Or remove a nail. Or
Yeah, but I ignore all that when I'm painting anyway. Like it's literally for the outline of where stuff sits, and then the rest of it is, So yeah, I use it a little bit. Yeah, I'm not one of those artists that's 100% against it, but I think what's a bit tricky at the moment is the whole Instagram meta thing where they're scraping artists' work that have uploaded work, and I think that's a bit rich because it's like, artists have helped build that platform. Instagram wouldn't be Instagram if it wasn't for artists and creators, and then I feel like they're kind of
it's weird all the new pricing plans that they've done. It's not just paying for ads. You can pay to be promoted heavily in the Instagram platform. And even YouTube are doing that now.
Yeah.
You pretty much are buying subscribers.
Yeah.
That's the problem. When you get to this point where like we have, 2 or 3 main social media platforms, they can just kind of do whatever they want. Like,
you know what it reminds me of?
To do.
It reminds me of the duopoly or whatever we had in the 80s or 70s of Australian television. There was like Channel 9, Channel 10. Oh, mate, Channel 9 and Channel 7. Yeah. It's that, and it's like pay to play. It was always pay to play, and now I guess maybe are we going back in time?
Yeah, all the football rights. You have to pay to watch it, and it's not good.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you think you'd ever explore like thinking those sort of digital mediums? Like, are you just going to stick with painting, or are you kind of going to evolve into different mediums?
Good question.
Yeah, I like that bit of touching up in the old Photoshop.
So I actually started the Instagram page that I have right now. I've renamed it to Sally Hastings Art, but it used to be Sweary Sally, and it was basically me drawing things using Procreate on the iPad. So I started out in digital as like a digital illustrator, I think you'd call it. But I've moved obviously to sort of handmade actual acrylic paintings. But what I have found in my last exhibition is, as part of the exhibition, I had a giant paste-up wall. It's like 4 by 4 meters, big Buffalo Bill, and I built this 3D nose that hung off the wall. And so when you're kind of walking up and around the poster, his big nose is sticking out. It was like a 60 centimeter diameter. Anyway, I had such fun thinking about 3D spatial stuff that I thought, so it's kind of ticked over a thing for me. So my next collection I'm going to start working on very soon, and it's going to be all gummy lollies.
Nice.
And I've decided I'm going to delve into a little bit more. I've done a few Jurassic Park paintings, but I'm going to delve pretty deep in that, and some Indiana Jones and some other things. And as part of that, I'm going to do, when you go into a museum and you see a dinosaur skeleton hanging from the ceiling, I'm going to do exactly one of those, except it's going to be made of sour gummy. So gummy with the sugary finish. It's going to be a big T-Rex skeleton made of gummy.
It's amazing. You have some of the bones that just fall on the floor, and maybe a dog's peeing on it, or.
I mean, if so, it would have to be a real dog because it's 3D.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have that hanging from the ceiling of my next exhibition.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, and I think that stuff is just cool and silly. The sillier, the more into it I am.
And you've obviously got a lot of childhood kind of nostalgia that is getting into this. Is that as well something that you've kind of got back into? Yeah.
For sure. And like even when I was an advertising creative, I would often say, hey, remember, blah, 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 we should do an ad about that. And so I'm basically just doing that, but with my own art practice now. It's like, remember that cool thing? Like,
I love the triggering. Like, you go back and you're like, and then you go back into that time and you remember what age you were and you had no, like, no responsibilities, and you didn't worry about what was in your bank account or anything. It was just every day was just different.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of fun to be had there, and I don't know, I'm into surrealist stuff and pop art and, you know, bold colours and Australiana. I love delving into Australian kitsch. I just think that there's this weird collective, I don't know, this weird collective Aussiness that we can all get behind. That kind of transcends politics and all that. Like to see an Australian landscape in Steve Owen, I mean, who can be unhappy about that? So, and a frog in a pond.
Yeah, exactly. The lollies feed into it so much. You don't realise like how much of Australian culture is just lollies until you like see your art and you're like, oh my god, like all of these are so iconic.
The wagon wheels, remember those?
Yeah, I've done a wagon wheels painting.
And you might have seen the spearmint leaves. They're coming back as well from Alan's lollies. They're bringing them back in.
I might attempt to paint some of them soon, actually. I've always avoided it because of the sugar, but I need to get over that.
The spearmint leaves, that'd be good. Because I'm sure you'd have to do a couple of samples. And,
of course, that's how it works.
Yeah.
We're on to our speed round. Do you want to get that open for us? What we're going to do is every guest that comes on, we've got a speed round. It's just A or B, basically.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like, what do you think? Don't have to go into a lot of detail.
Incredibly fast.
All right, go for it.
Okay, speed round. Creative or code?
Creative.
I feel like that's an easy one for you. Favourite design tool?
Oh, I'm not choosing A or B? Favourite design tool?
Yeah, Photoshop.
It's speed
Figma,
round when you
whatever.
just
I don't know, Photoshop, I guess.
paint maybe. Favourite website?
Oh. I don't know.
First one that comes to
What
your
do
head.
you use for like inspiration? Like where do you get your reference images from? Maybe that's a big one.
I don't know.
Always
Unsplash.
different.
Yeah, it could be Pinterest, Unsplash, a million places.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a very big bank of that stuff because of advertising. I would be finding reference images for stuff all day long.
Yeah.
So in my mind's eye, I'm like, oh, I need to find that thing. I need to go to that photographer's website and da-da-da. Yeah.
There's
Just
not
have
one
it all
website
on.
you go to every day, other than like a newspaper.
That's
or something.
crazy. So many sources.
Wow. Okay.
Interesting. Hours per week that you work?
Ooh. 40, 50, 60?
Just your usual. You're not going over too hard.
No.
Probably a nice change from
Yeah.
the old days. What is the first app you open every day?
Ooh. Probably TikTok or Instagram.
I'm a bit obsessed with that TikTok thing. It's horrible. Like you're scrolling and you look up and it's 1 o'clock. You're like, oh my god, better get some sleep.
It's risky. Coffee or tea?
Neither.
I'm the same. How is that?
Wait, what do you drink instead of coffee or tea?
Water? Wine? I've got the Jesus approach. It's either water or it's wine.
I love that. Dark mode or light mode?
Dark.
Mac or PC?
Mac.
Work from home or work from office?
Home.
Cats or dogs?
Cats.
Favorite font?
Ooh. I don't know. Helvetica.
Don't say Comic Sans.
Papyrus.
Design or spec?
I don't know what that means.
A specification. What do you prefer doing?
Design?
Yeah.
Good answer. I feel like this makes sense.
Design.
Yeah. What's your favourite snack while working?
Oh, any Allen's lollies. Maybe the bananas. They're pretty
You
good.
ever work on Allen's?
Yeah.
No, never. I probably wouldn't
Sponsorship.
paint them if I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure
Too
they're
many,
nice
like,
people.
Memories and
You just get jaded. Although I do shop at Officeworks a lot, so I didn't get too jaded
the
with that.
canvases. And,
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Pineapple on your pizza?
Yes.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
City or country?
It depends. I live in the country now and I love it. I'm a city girl at heart.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But
I
you're
would say
not
the same thing.
particularly far out of the city, right? You're like an hour and a bit away.
An hour and a
I
half.
feel like, that gives you like a nice in between.
Yeah.
My brother's the same. Lives in the city. Works. His holiday house is in Ilden,
Yes.
so he's probably got it flipped around, doesn't he? A bit.
He works in the city a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's probably half-half.
Yep.
Yeah.
Final question. Would you rather travel into the past or travel into the future?
Oh, that's a hard question.
Yeah, come on, Doc Brown. Where are we going?
I'm going to sound like a doomsday person, but I don't know what the future holds. Is it going to be a really good place? I hope so. And
I feel
maybe
like
it's...
that's wishful
would you
thinking.
Maybe
pull
it's
the
a good-
safety switch and go backwards?
Yeah.
And you kind of know what to expect.
Yeah.
Are you going to take the risk or are you going to go safe?
I reckon let's go into the future. Let's be bold.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like it. Nice.
I'll have a smile on my face and hope for the best.
With your Star Wars sash on.
With my vintage Star Wars toga bedsheet.
There you go.
Yeah.
No, thanks for coming in, Sal.
That's it.
Thanks for having me.
Did you have fun?
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Sorry I jumped around a bit. You might have to re-edit it.
No, that's all right.
Oh, of course.
And a final plug, sallyhastingsart.com.au.
Yes.
And is there anything else you want anyone to know?
Just that if you've been thinking about doing a thing and you've got all the reasons why you shouldn't do that thing in your mind, you should probably do that thing. And obviously calculated guess and make sure that you don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. But yeah, if you're passionate about something or you think that there's an opening in the market for a thing or you want to get out of whatever you're doing, you should do it. Life's short.
Totally. I saw a quote upstairs. You miss 100% of the shot. 100%. I'll say it again. You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and who knows how this art thing will go. If it continues going the way that it is, hopefully I'll build a thing and it'll be great.
You'll be a nana painting,
This is a job that's sustainable. I could do this forever.
Well, exactly. That's the thing.
As long as I can move my nose and blink.
Yeah, and someone's making paints. We're good.
Yeah.
I could make art, so yeah.
Oh,
But yeah,
nice.
thanks for having me. It's been a blast.
It's been a blast
Thank
meeting you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our first podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to the Creative and Code podcast.
That's all, folks.
We hope you enjoyed this episode and found it as inspiring and entertaining as we did. Remember, there are plenty more episodes to explore, so make sure you keep listening for more creative insights and coding tips. A big shout out to our amazing sponsors and the team at ID Digital Agency for making this podcast possible. Got a story to share or want to be a guest on our show? We'd love to hear from you. Send us a 2-minute or less audio clip to creativeandcode@iddigital.com.au. Suggestions, ideas, or just want to say hi, we're all ears. Thanks again for listening. Until next time, stay creative and keep coding.